Hari Om, everybody. I hope all of you had a good long weekend. So we come back to our chapter 2. We saw from verse 11 to verse 30, Bhagwan spoke from the absolute standpoint, the highest standpoint. And since every teaching has to be student specific, in the sense that if the teacher finds that the student is not grasping what is being said, then the teacher needs to come down, because the teacher has the capability of coming down to the level of the student. The student necessarily does not have the capacity to go up to the level of the teacher. So Bhagwan recognizes that and comes down to a very basic level from verse 31 to 37. That is what we saw last time, where Bhagwan is telling him, you just do your duty. Like Nike, you know, the check mark, just do it. Just do it. Doesn't matter. You have hatred in your mind, you have like in your mind, you have whatever emotions that you have in your mind. It doesn't matter. You recognize yourself to be a Kshatriya. You are born by birth, also you're a Kshatriya, by nature also you're a Kshatriya. You are fighting a very righteous war. And if you don't fight this war, then people will laugh at you. People, you will be defamed, all these mundane reasons, you know, like you will be defamed. It will be worse than death for you if people start insulting you. People will say things not even behind your back, they will say it in front of your face only. And Duryodhan will definitely say that you ran out of fear. He will not say, maybe Dronacharya and Bhishmacharya might say that, oh, he went away because of compassion for us, but Duryodhan never is going to say that. So for all those reasons, and if you just fight, it's a win-win situation for you. Why? Because if you win, you get the kingdom of the world. If you lose, if you die, because there is no losing for you, I know that. You will either die or you will win. You're not going to lose the war and live after that, because you're going to kill yourself. If you don't, you're going to get killed in the war. So if you die, then the heavens are open. The door of the heavens is open for you. Literally, you will be walking into heaven. So either you get the heaven, either you go to heaven, or you enjoy the kingdom of the world. So in either case, it's a win-win situation for you. So at least for that reason, you must do this. This is how he ends. Hatova prapsasi swargam jitva va bhokshase mahim. If you win, you get fame and glory and kingdom. If you die in the war, you will go to heaven. Okay. Now, he has explained it from the basic level. Now Bhagwan is now turning back upwards. And the way he does it is, because, now we'll see. So let's read the verse. Sukha dukhe same kritva labha labho jaya jayo tato yuddhaya yujjasva naivam papam avapsyasi. Having made pleasure and pain, gain and loss, victory and defeat the same, you engage in battle for the sake of battle. Thus you shall win and not incur sin. So here, Bhagwan, if I were to be asked, which is my most favorite chapter in the Gita is chapter 14, but my most favorite verse is this verse, 38, by which I have tried to live my own life. This is the kindergarten of Karma Yoga. This is the foundation of Karma Yoga. This is where Bhagwan is now giving a twist to that karma, that he asked him to do karma in the previous verses. Do your duty, do your action, do what you're supposed to do. And now he's converting this into Karma Yoga so that the student can go up. By the time this chapter ends, he will be back at the same level where he was between 11 and 30. So this is how he's doing it. So for that, he says, there are three pairs. If you see the first line, there are three pairs, Sukha Dukha, joy, sorrow, Labha, alabha, gain, loss, and Jaya, ajaya. So victory and defeat, or honor and dishonor. Point number one is that these three are three different levels of our personality. Joy and sorrow are at the level of the mind. Labha, alabha, the gain and loss is at the level of the body. And victory, defeat, or honor, dishonor is at the level of the intellect. So three pairs of opposites are given, and they obviously, they of course represent all the pairs of opposites that you can think of, heat, cold, whatever that you can think of. But in a verse, you cannot say all. So these three examples are given basically at the level of the mind, at the level of the body, and at the level of the intellect. Now, when you take these three pairs together, you'll realize sukha, labha, and jaya. So happiness, joy, goes with gain and with honor. So, and then dukkha, sorrow, goes with alabha, loss, or ajaya, defeat. This gain, loss, labha, alabha, and jaya, ajaya, honor, dishonor, these two pairs are happening outside. And what it is creating in the mind is sukha and dukkha. It's creating, I gain something, I win a lottery ticket, which is outside, but then it creates happiness in my mind. And if I lose something, then it creates sorrow in my mind. I was thinking about this. There is one instance in my case where when I don't gain, I'm happy. When I stand on my weighing scale. So when I don't gain any weight, I'm like, I was thinking about this. I said, Alaba, yeah, hey, even Alaba can make me happy. Just where your vision is. So the idea is that Sukha goes with Labha and Jaya, Dukkha goes with Alabha and Ajaya. And why is these two pairs outside creating joy and sorrow in my mind is because you go back down to like and dislike. Because I like joy and I don't like sorrow. So these three pairs of opposites actually are basically now representing only likes and dislikes, which are in my mind. Like and dislike is never outside. It is inside my mind for something which is outside, which I think is outside. Okay, so that's the thing. Now, what he is saying is same krutva. Sama word. In chapter 1, we saw the problem. Problem was mamata. Mata. Mata is intellect, buddhi, understanding. Ma is mine. He was attached. Arjun was attached to his grandfather, his guru. So he had attachment towards them. There was mamata, which was attachment. And now Bhagwan is giving the antidote, samata. So there is ma, mata, sa, mata. Mata remaining the same. The ma has to be converted into sa. And samata means equanimity. So he says, having made these pairs of opposites equal. So the question arises, how can they be equal? Because joy is joy, sorrow is sorrow. Gaining something, winning a lottery ticket and not winning a lottery ticket can't be same. How do I make them same? Honor and dishonor, if somebody is insulting me, that cannot be the same like somebody is honoring me. But what he means by same krutva, make them equal in your mind. In your response to both these opposites, because labha alabha is opposite, jaya ajaya is opposite, your response to both of them has to be the same. That is what is meant by samekrutva, having made equal. If I were to tell you in Gurudev's words, then Gurudev would say, if Mr. Happiness comes to my door, I offer a cup of tea, I open the door. But when Miss Sorrow comes, I not only open the door, invite her in and offer a tea with samosa. What is my normal reaction? My normal Mr. Happiness, please come, sit, stay with me forever. And Miss Sorrow knocks on the door. I'm like, I'm going to shut the door on her face. That is not equanimity. Equanimity is when you take both of these opposites with the same equipoise. The best example that I can give you is Sri Ram. In Tulsi Ramayan, Tulsidas ji says, he was called to his father's chambers one day, Sri Ram, and told, tomorrow you'll become the king of Ayodhya. And it said that there was a smile on his face. And within 24 hours, the next day, he was called again to the same chambers and told that you have to go into exile. And the smile didn't change. It's the same smile. And he went to his mother and he said, Father has given me the kingdom of the forest. So the kingdom of Ayodhya and kingdom is equanimity. when he considers both of them to be kingdoms. That is what it is. Forest the same as the living in the palace in Ayodhya? No way. No way. Forest, he was supposed to, sleep on the floor, not wear any footwear. In the palace, he would have had such comforts. So that is a pair of opposite. Forest is opposite of Ayodhya, palace. But kingdom, he made them equal because he said they're both kingdoms. So what difference does it make? That is what this Samekrutva represents. That is what it is not very easy. Huh? Let me tell you, it is kindergarten of Karma Yoga, but even this kindergarten is not easy. But this is the instruction, Samekrutva. Now the question arises, why should I do Samekrutva? When should I do? First when and then why. So the first quarter of the second line, Tato Yuddhaya Yujasva, when you are fighting this war. Now this is very contextual for Arjun. He was standing on the battlefield. So that's why Bhagavan is using the word Yuddha. Yuddha word will come many times in the Gita, where Bhagavan says, fight the war, doing this, fight the war. It shouldn't be taken, oh, Arjun was fighting the war, I have no war to fight. No, we also have our own wars to fight in our day-to-day life. Okay, so here Yuddha should not be taken as a physical war where we are on the battlefront, but our own life. Our life itself is like the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And we are fighting many, many battles outside also, as well as within us also, inside also. That's why Bhagavan chose this field, this battlefield, to tell. Why he could have, if he wanted to tell Arjun, he could have told in the comfort of his palace also. Bhagavan said no, because this is what is going to happen in Kali Yuga, where our whole life is going to be like a battlefield. And that is where we need this knowledge. We don't need it if you're happily staying at home and, then this knowledge is not required. It's required when you are facing the world. And that's why while facing the world, for us, for Arjun, it was battle, fight your battle. But when we are facing the world, Samekrutva, we have to face it with equanimity. That is what the instruction is. So for us, in our daily life, day-to-day life. Now, why should I face it with equanimity? Every time we ask, why should I do this? Why should I do that? Na evam papam avapsasi. Then you will not incur sin. Bhagwan, hold it there. First you told me from verse 31 to 37, you said, perform your duty, doesn't matter where your mind is, and only by performance of duty you will not incur sin. Now you're saying, oh, perform your duty, but with an equanimous mind, only then you will not incur sin. Exactly where do I not incur sin? This is the question now. Question is, do I perform my duty with whatever mental attitude that I have? I might have hatred, jealousy, anger, all the negative qualities, and then I won't incur sin. You said that. I'll perform my duty with all the negative tendencies. Or to not incur sin, do I have to perform but also maintain equanimity? So there is an added dimension to this performance of duty here. And Bhagavan is saying, if you do it with equanimity, you will not incur sin. That's why we need to now redefine sin. What is sin? What exactly does Bhagavan mean by papa? Papa, sin, demerit. Now, at one level, the first level that we said, papa is doing something wrong. Stealing, lying, cheating, killing, whatever, robbing, all those. We said, oh, that's, you do something wrong and that's a sin. That's a demerit. Okay, fine. That's the basic definition. Now we also added one thing, saying in the previous verses that, okay, if there is something that you're supposed to do and you don't do, then also it is sin. An example, simplest example is, I'm supposed to be brushing my teeth on a daily basis, but if I don't, then I'm going to end up with cavity and pain and etc., etc. So there is something that I'm supposed to do and I don't do it, that also incurs sin for me. It may not concern anybody else. Like in case of Arjun, if he would have run away from the war, then people would have shamed him. People would never have said anything about any of the other brothers or anything. It's Arjun who ran away, right? So not, there wouldn't have been any repercussions on the other people. They would have lost the war or whatever. That's a different matter. But not doing is sin. And this is what Bhagavan tells him. So not doing our own duty definitely is sin. Now Bhagavan is adding the dimension of equanimity, saying if you do your duty, but with an equanimous mind. And here then, sin, when Bhagavan said we can do our duty, at different levels, sin, the definition of sin changes. Okay. So at one level, yeah, doing wrong. Okay. At one level, not doing what is our duty. And when we do our duty, it will not incur sin. It will give me heaven. So it will give me a result. Just doing my, like if we take Arjuna's case, just doing his duty would have given him heavens if he died, and would have given him this kingdom if he didn't die, if he won the war. Okay. But now if he does it with equanimity, then the goal can be liberation. So as your goal goes up, the definition of sin changes. In the case of Bhagavan Shankaracharya, let me tell you, he has written many bhakti texts, not texts, but bhakti stotras, Ganga Stotram, a lot of stotras he has written, which are bhakti oriented. And at the end of them, he says, "Oh Lord, please forgive me, I have sinned." I have sinned, Bhagavan Shankaracharya, you can also sin. Yeah. Because by writing this bhakti text, I have considered you different from me. That is my sin. So as we go further in our spiritual journey, considering ourselves to the body is sin. Just doership at the level of the intellect, doership, when I think I am doing, it is sin. Why? Because it is keeping you away from liberation, which is the highest goal, which is the goal given by the scriptures for all mankind, for all humans, the goal, the final goal. So it is a sin against that final goal. It is not a sin at an ordinary level. So what is not sin at an ordinary level, as you go higher up, it becomes a sin as you spiritually progress. And that's why Bhagavan is saying here that if you do your job, if you do your duty without equanimity, okay, if you don't do, it is sin. That is one level. Okay, if you don't do your duty, it is sin. If you do something wrong, it is sin. Next, there is a duty that you're supposed to perform. Now you don't do that because you want to run away. It is sin. Okay, and that not sinning means doing your own duty will give you heaven. So it will give you a certain result, okay, which is a higher result. But heaven is not the final point. Scriptures don't ask us to go for the heavens. Gita will talk about that too. Bhagavan will talk about that too. So Bhagavan is telling him that there is something higher than the heavens. And if you want to get that higher goal, then it is a sin to perform your duty without equanimity. Because you can't reach that goal unless you are of an equanimous mind. You get this point? This point is very important. Any questions? I'll give you an example. See, there's a little baby, okay? That's why Gurudev has called all the newborn babies as Shudras. Why Shudras? I'm sure all grandmothers know why. Okay, I want to pee, finish. Do I see whether I'm in a 5-star big hotel in a big party? I want to barf. I'm going to throw up. Do I see that the suit is maybe God knows thousands of dollars? Am I going to be worried about it? I'm going to vomit on your face. Do I care of your makeup? No. Now, do we consider that as sin? No. Now that child grows up. Now he's of an understanding age. Now he goes and does it purposely somewhere. It is sin. Sin in the sense it's wrong. It is wrong. If an adult goes and does it, they're going to say, are you crazy? You should be don't you know that bathrooms are there where you go and vomit or you do your business, whatever? Then it's absolute sin. This is how the definition of sin changes. At a point when somebody is doing something, it's okay. So if the person doesn't know anything about Vedanta, doesn't know anything about the higher this thing, later on in chapter 3, Bhagavan will say, it is better to act with likes, dislikes, whatever your mental state is. It is better to act rather than not act at all. This is what Bhagavan told him in the previous verses. That instead of running away, you have to act. You have to stand here and you have to fight. It doesn't matter what your mental condition is. I don't care. That's a level. It's one level Bhagavan is explaining. That do it just for log kya kahenge. What will people say? Do it for that. It's okay. It's okay. At least for that, but do. And if you don't do, it'll be sin. Now he adds a dimension. He says, I want you to go higher. I want you to go for the higher goal. So now that dimension of equanimity has to be added. You have to do this with equanimity. Samatha. That samatha, that's why I told you, is the antidote to mamata. Mamata was his problem. Arjun, our problem is also mamata only. We are attached. We are attached. And we need to maintain this equanimity of mind while doing all actions in our life. Only then we can be objective and we can be, we can act properly. Now, any questions so far? All okay? How do I know that I am doing the right thing? Okay, there is one more thing that we can understand here. So there are 4 levels of our personality, to our personality. We have a physical personality. We have a mental personality. We see this like, if you were to translate it into Vedantic language, Annamaya Kosha is there, Manomaya Kosha is there, Pranamaya doesn't come into play here. Then the Vijnanamaya Kosha is there, and then the Om in our chart. So there is the B, M, I, and the Om. So the Vasana level doesn't come. So in our every personality, every human being has these 4 personalities at the physical level, mental level, intellectual level, and then spiritual level. Now, at the physical level, the action has to be customary. Tradition, it has to be customary. And I'll give you examples as well. At the mental level, that action has to be ethical. At the intellectual level, it has to be logical. It must make sense. Why are you doing this? You know, logical sense has to come at the level of the intellect. And then at the spiritual level, the thing is this action helping me evolve spiritually or no? So that's the spiritual level. Now let's take the case of Arjun. So for Arjun, at the physical level, it was total tradition because he was Kshatriya. He was a Kshatriya. Kshatriyas are meant to fight. Kshatriyas are administrators, they are kings, they are the leaders of the nation. So fighting was absolutely normal for him, waging the war. At the mental level, was it ethical? Yeah, definitely. There was on the side of dharma. Duryodhan had done so much adharma, so much wrong he had done. To the Pandavas themselves, he had done so much wrong. So it was absolutely ethical. The war was ethical war for Arjun. Intellectual, was it logical? Yes, because they did fulfill the condition of that dice game. They lost the dice game and then they were asked to go into exile. Then they were asked to stay in incognito for 1 year, which they completed. And they were told at that point that when you do all this and you come back, then you get your Indraprastha back, your own kingdom back. So they did all that. They remained incognito. Duryodhan was not able to find them, though he tried hard, because the condition was, if I find you in that 1 year, again 12 years you have to go. So he tried very hard to find them. He could not. And so they fulfilled their own condition and they came and they said, okay, give us. No, he said. And in spite of that, Bhagwan went and said, okay, give them 5 villages. So he said, no. So it was absolutely logical to fight because there was no other way. There was no other way. So in this verses, in the previous verses from 31 to 37, Bhagwan is asking him to fulfill these three. Because at the physical level, mental level, intellectual, it is fine. Now he's adding the twist with the spiritual level. So what first three levels, you do it, yes. Nobody's saying anything about likes and dislikes in the mind. So it's tradition to do, customary to do, ethical, logical, you do it, heavens. You get heavens, no problem. Now you add the equanimity, you're adding the spiritual dimension to it. So that's why for us, we have to make sure that first three things, and then if we want to add we ordinarily, we can do first three things, heaven is guaranteed. No problem. But first three things, you don't have a choice. You must do that. If you don't do even that, then there's total sin. So if you follow physical, mental, and intellectual, if you don't know anything about spiritual, fine, that's fine. But if, that's why I always say, there's a big if. If you want to evolve spiritually, you must add the dimension of equanimity to all your actions. Let's take a couple other examples of this. Let's take the example of Prince Siddharth. Everybody knows Prince Siddharth? Gautam Buddha, for those who are not nodding their heads, okay? Gautam Buddha. So Prince Siddharth, as you know the story, he was the father of a baby. He had a small boy and he had a young wife and he left them. So at the physical level, was it tradition? No, it wasn't. Was it ethical to leave a small child and go? No. Was it logical? Why would you leave the comfort of your palace and go wander without food and without clothes and here, there, and everything? No. But look what he achieved spiritually. And because he left home for that final goal and he achieved it, all these other three things are maaf. No problem. If you don't want to do these three bottom things, means your duty, if you want to run away, if you want to go away, then go in search of God and don't come back till you find him. Then you're absolved of all these things. But don't do a halfway job. Don't run away out of fear. That's what Arjun was doing. Out of compassion, he's called it compassion, whatever he called it. He wanted to run away from his basic duties, which are at these three levels. And Bhagavan said, no, you can't. You can't. So that's why he told him first, no, you have to do this. You have to. Otherwise, it's sin. For us also, we have to do it. Or then, like Prince Siddharth, you have that final goal in mind, and then you better make sure that you become a Buddha. Then you are okay. Mirabai is the same way. If you look at the life of Mirabai, she gave up. Her husband allowed her, Chittor, if you've been, there is a temple. So her husband was the king of Chittor. On the first night itself, his sister came and told him that, you know, your wife is talking to somebody in her bedroom. This is the first night of marriage. And he said, really? Like, you know, so he goes and she is talking inside. So he opens the door and she's only talking. There's nobody there. But for her, Bhagwan was there. Krishna was there. And she was dancing with Krishna and she was talking to Krishna. So he understood right there that she is very special. And so he allowed her to do her spiritual practices. He actually built a temple which is still there in Chittor in Rajasthan. If you go, I have seen it. So he made a special temple for her where she would go and do satsang with all these sadhus and everybody was there and all her devotional practices she did there. But 5 years into her marriage, he dies of natural causes. There was no war, nothing unnatural, natural. And then when his younger brother becomes king, he starts harassing Mirabai because he says, you're a queen, you know, you're not supposed to be doing all this, all these sadhus who are all all, whatever, you should not be associating with them. You should not be doing satsang. So he sends her poison, then he sends her a snake, which turns into a garland and all this. So she writes to Tulsi Dasji. Tulsi Dasji is her contemporary, the one who wrote Tulsi Ramayana. So she wrote to Tulsi Dasji a letter saying that my family is coming in the way of my devotion. What should I do? He said, immediately leave that family. You have no responsibility towards that family. So that's what she just left. She went to Vrindavan. She never returned to Chittor. Never. And to this day, we take her name. And then that temple, which her husband had built as a satsang hall, they have now actually installed Mirabai's Murti. So it's a Mirabai temple there in Chittor. So these 4 levels are there. If we think we are capable of going for the 4th one, please go for it. Most of us are not. Then you do this, the bottom 3. You do whatever is your assigned duty, you stick to it. And if you stick to your assigned duty, okay, heaven is guaranteed. That also we are telling. Bhagavan himself has said, heaven is guaranteed. But the question is, do you want to go to a point of return? Because heaven is a point of return. Your merits get over, you come right back to pavilion. You're back on earth. Or God knows where, depending on what kind of vasanas there are. So do you want to do it? Everybody has to make a choice of their own. And therefore, Gita gives us this student-specific knowledge. So where am I? So I know that I'm not totally at the 4th level. And so these 3 things are there. Then let me add that 4th dimension to whatever that I do. And that 4th dimension is equanimity. Because then that way I'm bringing that spiritual personality also into play. This is the instruction here. That's why this is very important, because this is day to day. Every single day, there are situations, there are people coming into our life. There are things where it's difficult to maintain equanimity. You don't think it's a very easy instruction. It is not. It is not. Okay, for years I've held on, and till today I hold on to this verse. Anything happens which shakes me, sukha dukhe samay krut, I come to this and pulls me back. It centers me. So it requires practice, but it has great benefit, as Bhagavan will now tell. It has its own. See, you work hard, your result is going to be better, right? Simple mathematics, simple equation. You put in less effort, less result. You put in more effort, it's like you study very hard for your exams. You might get 80%, 90%, 100%. You study less, you'll get 50%. You study even less, you'll get even less. So that's why, even though this dimension of equanimity is hard, try to bring it in. It is difficult. I'm not saying it's easy. Huh? Why should it be easy? It is taking you to the final goal. Why should it be easy? Okay? Any questions? Very, very important verse. Okay, so that's one of the key verses. Now, let's go further. 39. Esha te bihita sankhe buddhiryoge tvimam shrunu buddhya yukto yaya partha karma bandham prahasyasi. This which has been taught to thee is wisdom concerning Sankhya. Now listen to the wisdom concerning yoga, having known which, O Partha, you shall cast off the bonds of action. Okay, so here you say Yesha, this te bhita Sankhya. The word Sankhya we see here must not, first instruction here, must not be mistaken to be the Sankhya school of philosophy. Because some of you would have heard that there is a Sankhya school of philosophy, and that's a complete different, this Sankhya is not at all that, there's absolutely no connection. Here this Sankhya, this word Sankhya comes from the word Sankhya, and Sankhya means numeral, numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, that is called Sankhya in Sanskrit, Marathi, Hindi also, Sankhya. Like in English we say number. number 1, number 2, number 3. That way we say Sankhya. Okay. So, and Sankhya, because it's numerals, logic is required. Therefore, it represents a logical thinking, a logical understanding. And therefore, here Bhagwan uses this word Sankhya Yoga for Jnana Yoga. So in Bhagavad Gita, Sankhya Yoga is not the Sankhya school of philosophy. It is the Jnana Yoga, which is the absolute reality, which he explained from verse 11 to verse 30. That's number 1 thing to be understood in this verse. So what Bhagwan is saying, Yesha te bhita Sankhya. I told you about Sankhya Yoga. I told you Jnana Yoga, where 11 to 30. I told you, the absolute reality. Okay, that I told you. Now, Tvimam Shunu, Buddhir Yoge Tvimam Shunu. Now you listen to this yoga of Buddhi. Now here, this is how people mistake this. It is very easy because Jnana is also related to Buddhi. Because intellect, jnanis are, who are they? They're intellectuals. We have said for the intellectuals, there is a path of jnana, and then for the heart-oriented, sentimental, emotional people is bhakti, and those who are in balance is karma. So this buddhi yoga here means karma yoga. That has to be understood here. This is the first thing that needs to be understood. The Sankhya Yoga, Bhagwan is saying, I told you about Jnana Yoga, about the absolute reality. Now listen to me. I'm going to tell you about Buddhi Yoga, which is Karma Yoga. And the reason he calls it Buddhi Yoga, because it is karma done with a certain buddhi. Karma Yoga is karma done with a certain buddhi. The most misunderstanding that we have about Karma Yoga is voluntary work. Voluntary, I'm doing a lot of Karma Yoga. I volunteer it, n number of whatever things. Absolute mistake. Because volunteer, what converts karma into Karma Yoga is the absence of doership. As long as I have that feeling, I am doing so much volunteer work, it is only karma. It is not Karma Yoga. That's why he's calling this Buddhi Yoga. It is, people think Karma Yoga is some special karma in my life that I have to do. So I go volunteer. I give my time and I volunteer. I give rides to people. Actually, I'm giving a ride because I'm afraid to drive by myself. Honestly, I'm not. I have experienced this. I am afraid to go by myself. So then I superimpose that, she needs a ride. So I'm giving her a ride. What a karma yogi I am. And then I'm a karma yogi on top of that. If you have a need for something and you're doing it for that, it cannot be karma yoga. It cannot be karma yoga. That's why karma yoga is not easy. Let me tell you, karma is easy. You just do your action and it's okay. Karma yoga, that's why Bhagwan is now, the whole chapter, 34 verses, chapter 3. Imagine if karma yoga was not that important, he would spend that much time. Think about it. Even in this chapter, all these is karma yoga now. It started from 38 started. Now he's saying buddhir yoga tvimam shunu. So karma yoga is not a special karma, but it is every karma done with a special attitude. Every karma I'm saying. So if you have to clean your toilet at home, that also has to have an attitude. If you want to convert it into karma, it can be converted into karma yoga. That is the beauty of karma yoga. You're just cleaning your kitchen. You're cleaning your kitchen floor. Convert it into karma yoga. You think, oh, what's the big deal? I'm cleaning a toilet? Yes. Yes. Breathing can be karma yoga. Seeing can be karma yoga. Talking can be karma yoga. Because the principles of karma yoga are totally different. And we'll see that. Okay, so this is what he's saying. Buddhir yoga tvimam shunu. Buddhi yoga tvimam shunu. Listen now to this Buddhi yoga. Buddhya yukto yaya partha. By doing action with this type of buddhi, you will not incur the bondage of action. Okay, that is the second line. Now, Any questions so far? I'm going to go a little further, then we won't have time, but we'll continue next time. Okay, so the first thing to understand here is karma bandha. What is karma bandha? What is the bondage of action? So karma binds. Here also people have a funny feeling. Okay, karma binds, then less karma, less bondage. No karma, no bondage. So let me not do only no karma, then there'll be no bondage. People have these things in their mind. I'm telling you, a lot of misunderstanding. That that is not. If something that you're supposed to do, take the case of Arjun, he was supposed to fight the war. If he would have said no, I'm going to go away, that running away would have bound him. That running away becomes a bondage. So what is this bondage that karma creates? So karma, first of all, comes about, originates in ignorance. The origin, the parent of karma is ignorance. And what ignorance is this? I am not ignorant. I'm so learned. I am a PhD in this, that. No. It is not your school education that we are talking about. It's ignorance of who you really are. Who are you truly? Verse 11 to 30. All that description. That is what you really are. But do I know that? No, I don't know that. Okay, so that's my ignorance. Now what happens is, because I don't know who I really am, I think, because I have to think of myself as something. No, I'm not. That means it doesn't make me nothing. That's why I'm body. This body, mind, intellect. I'm such an intellect. So when I have identified with the wrong, and we saw in Vivek Churamani, do not identify with the unreal. Bhagwan is pleading, Bhagwan Shankaracharya, right? This is why, karma bandha. So when I identify with the unreal, and then I consider this world to be something different than me, and then the things in the world I want, creates a desire in my mind. So ignorance at the causal level, in our chart, at the level of the V, creating desire in the mind intellect level, which creates action at the level of the body. And then I'm doing action to fulfill that desire. And then the law of karma is there. There is a law. What is the law? You do any action, result is going to come. Whether you like it or not, whether you want it or not, it will come. The result will come. And to exhaust that result, you either do more action, or you need a field, so you have to take birth. That is the bondage of action, this karma bandha. So now what Bhagwan is saying is that if you do your karma with a particular buddhi, this bondage will not happen. So the question arises, what type of buddhi should I have while doing karma? That's why I told you. And he is not saying, is he saying pick something special and then do that? This is the beauty of Bhagavad Gita, okay? That's why this is very important for householders. Whatever that you're supposed to do in life, don't go looking for some special work, please. Don't. You don't have to. Your own things, in your own home, at your workplace, whatever work you're doing, your student life, whatever, is because we have so much work in our own life, we don't have to look for something special outside to do karma yoga. That's what people think, let me go spend time somewhere else. No. So your own work, he says, buddhya yukta, be joined with this type of buddhi. And Bhagwan Shankaracharya gives 3 categories, which will be elaborated further. So I'm going to tell you the first category, of course, that we have seen, without likes and dislikes. So 38. This is where 38 comes in. Bhagwan told him already, do this war, fight this war for us, do my daily duty, do my whatever karma, that nitya karma, naimittika karma that I have, do it with equanimity. Okay. Second one, without attachment. What is attachment? I like this, so I will do it. I don't like this, so I won't do it. Attach. If I am very common, when we have a newborn baby, Are Baba, who wants to get up in the middle of the night and feed that baby? Anybody likes to do that? Any mother? Oh, I love it. When I'm deep in my deep sleep, then this baby starts crying and I'm supposed to get up and feed it. Nobody likes it, but it is your duty. So you do it happily. You don't curse the baby. You're happy to do it. But then every other job also you must do happily. See, there is it's my baby, right? So every other job also you must do happily. This is buddhi. So first is without like, I don't like feeding the baby. Okay, so put him on formula and now you get a husband, you get up and feed. No, that's not correct. That's not correct. Okay, so like without likes and dislikes, without attachment, and finally for the sake of the Lord. For the sake. Now this Lord here, you can substitute it with guru or country, any higher altar. And that's why when there is a little baby in the house, that baby becomes for the sake of the Lord, for the sake of the baby. Or somebody ill, senior citizen in the house, right? For the sake of that person who needs. So this Lord doesn't necessarily mean Lord. All our freedom fighters, who did they fight for? For the country. Country was Lord for them. Lord here means something higher, not just yourself, like this, get out of this me and, this is what I like, this is what I'll do, that I won't do, just for me. Get out of that attitude, get out of that mindset for somebody else. So that's what becomes for the sake of the Lord. And when you do it with these three attitudes, then this bondage of karma doesn't come. Karma yoga is the upaya. It is not the goal. Please understand. This also is very, very important. Goal is the supreme reality, and karma, whether it is karma yoga or karma, directly can never take you to the goal. Then why should I do it? Bhagwan, why? Because you need to purify your minds. Why do I need a purified mind? Why? Everything we want to know. Why are you asking me to do this? Because unless the mind is purified, that knowledge will not dawn. If knowledge would have dawned in an impure mind, Gita would have finished at chapter 30, verse 30. Finish. Teaching is over. Teaching is over there. Verse 30, he gave the absolute standpoint. Did we understand? Did we realize? No. Did Arjun realize? No. Why? Mind. That's why I said this is student specific. That's why Bhagwan is proceeding with, because Bhagwan realized that, he needs to purify. He knew he needs to purify his mind. I have to tell him how to purify that mind so that he can come back and understand this 11 to 30. He has not understood. Arjun has not understood what I told him in those verses. So I am now telling him the way to purify his mind. Okay. And that's why Bhagwan is now saying that I told you about Sankhya. I told you Jnana Yoga. Now you listen to Karma Yoga, Buddhi Yoga. In Bhagavad Gita, he will call it as Buddhi Yoga. And that's the reason. Buddhya yukto yaya partha. So Karma Yoga is the upaya means upaya word breaks into upa and aya. Upa is near. We have seen upa in Upasana, Upanishad. Upa, it's a prefix and the meaning remains the same, near. And aya means income. In India, income tax department is called Aikar Bhavan, Aikar. So income. So that which becomes an income for our life. Upaya, that is what Karma Yoga is. And how does it become an income for our life? Is by telling us the supreme goal, by helping us to reach that supreme goal, because that is the greatest income that we can have. We think income is wealth and money and all that. Yes, at one stage it is, but finally that is the one where we reach a point from where we do not come back, where there is to this world of sansar, to this world of change, to this world of sorrow. So that's why it is not the goal. Karma Yoga is not the goal, but it is the upaya. It is the means. And that's why it must be followed. For those of us who are neither who want the supreme goal. Let's put it that way also. If I want to reach that supreme goal, if I have faith in it, and if I want to, then at least I can try. Not that it will happen in this life, but at least over other lives it will happen. So you start right now. Okay, so this is we are beginning with Karma Yoga. The next few verses, Bhagwan will go into karma. So those verses, next verse is also 40. After 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, they'll go really fast. I'll probably be doing them together. And then the key verse is 45. Traigunya Vishaya Vedaha. Nistraigunyo Bhava Arjuna. So there is an instruction there for Arjun. So when there is an instruction for Arjun, means it is an instruction for us. So that's why then 45 becomes very important. Okay, any questions? We will talk a little bit more about this verse, and then we'll proceed next Sunday. Everybody okay? So now in June, yeah.
The previous words were that about this being equanimous. It's so easy, as you said, it is so easy for us to say this and understand. How does one really try? How does one know that it's, the person is trying? I mean, I'm only talking about myself. If I were to evaluate myself, how do I know that I'm trying?
Does your mind come back into, do you get centered? How fast do you get centered when something disturbs you? See, I have seen my age woman. I mean, she also lost her husband. He suffered from cancer. It took her 2 years to come out of the depression, because she had no. After that, she joined Brahma Kumaris. After that, she came. Then they told her, go to Jaya. She's in the same position as you. So now she is a bit settled. So 2 years. Then I know somebody who was, her husband, oh baapre, he was 80 plus, in and out of hospital, and then he passed, and then she went into a depression for 2 years. I'm like, what is this? She was over 70. So the criteria is how fast you come back, because disturbing things happen all the time in our life. We get this. I'll tell you how I got disturbed. It's like, it was so ridiculous. There's a show, there's one girl from the show is leaving the show, and I'm like, I like her, why is she leaving the show? Honestly. And that's when I realized that this is not so easy. Like, for a fake show, she probably is getting more money somewhere else. And a fake actress, right? Fake character. I mean, actress is real. Fake character. I said, Jaya, what do you think you're doing? And you're explaining Sukha Dukhe Samay Krutva. Come on, get on with it, right? So remind yourself. That's why this verse is very important. Memorize it. Or at least remember Sukha Dukhe Samay Krutva. That much, even if you remember. Now, because Labha, those things will keep happening outside. So because they are creating this disturbance in your mind. Sukha also, I told you in Vedanta, Sukha also is a disturbance. It's an agitation, because your mind is moving. It may be moving in an excited way, up above, or it's moving down below, depressed, sorrow. So both are agitations. You need to bring them both into equanimity, into that middle, line. So remind yourself. So when things happen that disturb you, then remind, Sukha Dukhe, Bhagavan said, Sukha Dukhe Samay Krutva. Okay, so let me, and what I find is I tend to change my own behavior, because I know I can't change the other person. There's no way. I change my own behavior towards them, so that my mind remains at peace. Because the most important thing is my own mind, not their mind. I don't care what is happening to everybody else, because I have to take care of my own mind, and my mind has to be at peace. So then what I do is, okay, this is what happened. This is what this person did. This is how I got disturbed. Now I am not going to do this. This is how I'm going to change myself. So that will help.
Thank you. Thank you.
Whatever works. But remembering definitely helps. So just, you don't have to, the whole verse also you don't need. Sukha dukhe same kritva. Samata, even one word if you want to remember. Samata, samata, samata. So get equanimous, get equanimous. Come back, get centered, get centered, get centered. So the faster you come to your central position, that much more evolved you are spiritually. The more you're disturbed, the more time you remain disturbed. That is one criteria. When you get excited, suddenly, then Rajas is predominant. Calm down. That's how you do it. Okay, so we shall end now.